for addressing emerging challenges. For this, it will mobilize the expert community, national as well as global. It will be expected to work with key national institutions, especially the HEC, the Pakistan Academy of Sciences, the Pakistan Agriculture Research Council, the National Institute of Health, the Global Change Impact Studies Center, and the leading centers of advanced studies established in the country. In short, the Islamabad National University, as well as the Institute for Advanced Studies, are envisaged as national institutions of international standing, responsive to the demands of the 21st century, and able to attract faculty as well as students from diverse countries and regions. Ladies and gentlemen, the objective of this conference is to seek your advice and guidance on the tasks to be assigned to the new institution. After this opening session, the meeting will divide into 4 parallel groups, one for each of these clusters. I have mentioned that the institute will be expected to provide an annual report to the government on how to address emerging challenges. Over the next 2 days, we hope to pick your brains to flesh out the contents of this report, in other words, a kind of annotated table of contents. I would also like to express my thanks to 4 experts who have helped us put together the program for the 4 clusters. These are Mr. Adil Lajam for climate change, Waqar Ahmed for development, Umar Saif for technology, and Tariq Banoori for governance. Prior to the finalization of the report, each group will present their recommendations to federal ministers responsible for addressing the relevant challenges. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll be failing in my duty if I don't commend the Higher Education Commission for leading the development of the new institution, including the organization of this event. More generally, HEC is leading the effort to enhance the quality and relevance of higher education in Pakistan. The new institution will contribute significantly towards this agenda. In the end, I wish great success to this new venture. Look forward to seeing it emerge as a research-intensive university of international standing and repute and a symbol of new Pakistan. Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister, for honoring us with your presence today, and thank you all, ladies and gentlemen, for being here. Pakistan Paindabad.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. And among many distinguished guests that Honorable Minister for Federal Education, Mr. Shafqat Mahmood, mentioned, he also mentioned Mr. Asad Jamal. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Asad Jamal is a renowned venture capitalist and managing director and chairman of ePlanet Capital. I would request Mr. Asad Jamal to say a few words at this occasion.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Mr. Prime Minister, Mr. Chairman, distinguished guests, it's indeed a great honor and privilege to be here with you today at the inaugural conference of the Islamabad National University. My remarks are on the subject of the 21st century gold mine. In the old days, discovery of gold, oil and gas, or other natural resources was considered a bonanza for the economy. Today, the new gold mine is technology, innovation, and entrepreneurship. A single technology company created by 1 or 2 people using only their brain power with no physical assets can become a multi-billion-dollar company and transform entire industries. I was personally inspired by the internet startup culture in the late 90s. So I moved to Silicon Valley and formed ePlanet, a venture capital firm. I was new to this field, so was not sure what to expect. In 2000, I met Robin Lee, a young Chinese entrepreneur in his 20s, for funding his new company called Baidu. Robin's chances for success seemed very low. He did not have any money, experience, or connections. But he had a technology education and big ideas to build a search engine to replace Yahoo and Google. We went ahead and invested in Robin's vision. Within 5 years of that first meeting, Baidu went from 0 startup to becoming the market leader with 75% share of the entire China internet search industry. Today, the company is amongst the top 3 technology companies of China, employing 42,000 people with a valuation of over 90 billion early this year. Robin Li is now the Bill Gates of China. The man who had no money is now worth 10 billion. Actually, on a bad day and on a good day, it could be 20 billion, depending on the stock market. I want to highlight 5 takeaways from the Baidu experience. Number 1, tech founders are typically ordinary young people in their 20s, not business tycoons. And this is very sort of across the board. Alibaba, Google, Facebook are all examples of this, founded by companies, very young people. Tech founders have radical and big new ideas. Number 3, venture capital provides these tech founders with equity funding and not debt. This is a very important sort of difference. Rather than encumbering companies with loans, you give them equity and you share in the upside and downside. So it's very similar to Islamic financing. Number 4, good ideas grow at a very viral and exponential pace. So Baidu went from 0 to 75% in 5 years. This brings me to the acceleration of technology trends. The third industrial revolution of computing and internet is already moving into the 4th revolution of artificial intelligence, nanotech, biotech, and cyber physical systems. US and China are the top 2 global leaders in the new technologies. Amazingly, only 20 years ago, China had a small tech startup industry. Now it is one of the top 20 internet companies in the world. 9 are Chinese. Pakistan today is where China was 20 years ago. We are focused on traditional industry sectors, agriculture, textiles, fertilizer. We are somewhere between the first and second industrial revolutions. We need to create enabling conditions for participation in the technology revolution as a national priority. Pakistan can leapfrog from the second industrial revolution to the 4th. But how? Number 1, our most precious resource is our youth and next generation, the 120 million young Pakistanis. Our national priority should be to educate them, empower them, cultivate their success, and particularly in science and technology. If they succeed, Pakistan succeeds. Number 2, technology startups require far fewer resources than traditional sector companies. A small team of smart people, computers, modest funding, and mentorship. Number 3, provision of venture capital is essential for tech startups. And number 4, finally, China's rise as an economic and technology leader presents a unique opportunity for Pakistan to learn from and to partner with and build an economic, educational, and science and technology collaborative space from Karachi to Beijing. Pakistan can, of course, also tremendously benefit from collaboration with US and European centers of advanced research and learning. In conclusion, we are a country with huge untapped potential that must now use its resources to empower and embolden our next generation of young Pakistanis to live out their big dreams and big ideas. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Asad Jamal. I now request His Excellency, Mr. Zhao Jing, Chinese Ambassador to Pakistan, ladies and gentlemen, to kindly share his thoughts. Chinese Ambassador, ladies and gentlemen.
The Honorable Prime Minister, Mr. Imran Khan, ministers, advisors, assistants, distinguished guests, I'm extremely honored and pleased that to stand on this podium, that to have the chance to talk about the education cooperation between China and Pakistan. First of all, let me present our sincere congratulations for this very significant event, the launching conference of the Islamabad National University. I think that this is another yet demonstration of the determination and the vision of the Pakistani government to promote education and to expand the scope of the education. For China, we had a long history of the development of education. This year is the 40th anniversary of China's reform, and the education reform in China is quite painstaking process. I still remember in 1978 that the total number of the university students in China, it was only about 800,000. But right now, we have 20 millions. The cost of the government in 1978 is about 1% of the GDP of China. But right now, we are spending 4% of the GDP on education. I think that the new government, Mr. Imran Khan, Honorable Prime Minister, you have taken up, I think, a long-term plan for the welfare and prosperous Pakistan. In this regard, we have witnessed a very strong and strategic vision from the leadership. And also, we have witnessed a very strong leadership for the implementation of this vision and the plan and the strategy. And definitely a very firm commitment like today's event. I think China, as a partner of Pakistan and a friend of Pakistan, we are very much encouraged. Yesterday, the 8th round of the JCC of CPEC just concluded in Beijing, and that the social and economic development plan under the CPEC has been finalized. And among these, that education is the major part of that. The Chinese government, during Mr. Imran Khan's visit to China, the Chinese government has committed that we will provide more scholarships for the Pakistani students, although right now we have 25,000 Pakistani students studying in China, which is the number one as far as the size of the foreign students are concerned. For this specific university, Islamabad National University, both the Chinese and the Pakistani government are finalizing the setup of the first ever China-Pakistan Earth Science Joint Study Center. And hopefully next year, the center will be accommodated in the university. And a lot of more vocational training and human resources development project will be arranged and implemented under the leadership of the Prime Minister, Mr. Imran Khan. So I think China will continue to be a strong partner for the development of the education in Pakistan. And also I welcome, and also I'm happy to see a lot of other international partners which would like to join the development of education in Pakistan, because we all believe a strong, prosperous, and the welfare Pakistan is in the benefit of the whole world. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. I now call upon, ladies and gentlemen, Chairman Higher Education Commission, Dr. Tariq Banouri, to introduce the concept and purpose of this conference. Chairman, HEC, Dr. Tariq Banouri. Ladies and gentlemen.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Mr. Prime Minister, Mr. Minister for Education, Your Excellencies, members of the Diplomatic Corps, members of the Cabinet, members of the Parliament, my dear Vice Chancellors, professors, students, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. It's really a privilege and a pleasure to be standing before you at this auspicious occasion. I'm very grateful to the Prime Minister for his personal commitment, not only to converting this building to a public use, but also his personal commitment to education and to higher education in particular. We are most grateful for his presence today. His presence expresses the resolve and the support for the education sector. I'm also very grateful to Minister Shafqat Mahmood Saab for his very kind words and his illuminating words about the agenda of the government and the support that is being provided to higher education, and especially for his very gracious remarks about the Higher Education Commission. I'm most grateful to all of them. Before I proceed, Mr. Prime Minister, with your permission, may I ask the distinguished Vice Chancellors to kindly stand up and, I just want to show that the Vice Chancellors who are present here, if you don't mind, please. Thank you. Thank you. I'm most grateful to you for your support, for your guidance in the educational process, and particularly in the task on which we are now embarked, namely establishment of this university. Mr. Prime Minister, I should mention that I'm speaking to you today, not only you gave me a task to do, to help design this university, and we've been working on it very hard. But I'm also speaking to you as the representative and indeed the Dean of the higher education profession, and on behalf of the learned ladies and gentlemen who stood up today. So some of my remarks are oriented towards you on behalf of my colleagues, and some of them have to do with the new university. The Minister Shafqat Mahmood Saab has explained very much the concept and the idea of the new university. Our concern, Prime Minister, is that you have indicated not only through your decision to convert this building, but more generally as an agenda of your government, that we should move towards an era of simplicity, efficiency, and service. And our design of this new university is driven by these three ideas. Our first idea is that public money should be used as effectively as possible, and it should demonstrate its usefulness. So in designing this university, we have been very, very keen to show how quickly and also in the long run it can demonstrate the value that it provides to society. Universities provide immense values to society, not only in terms of the education they provide, but also in terms of the research and the contribution to policy. So this is why, after a lot of consultation with our colleagues, we have proposed to you, and you were very kind to approve, that this should start its life as the Institute for Advanced Studies, which should help the country solve the problems that it faces, the emerging challenges that the country and the world faces. We went around to undertake some consultations, and after a lot of consultations, we had long lists of emerging challenges and opportunities. We took those long lists and we have clustered them into these four areas, namely governance, which has a lot of the issues that we are now confronted as a society, issues of corruption, of bureaucracy, of devolution, of economic management, etc. The development issues remain, but I think the development for the people is really the challenge that we are now confronted. That's why the focus on health, education, urbanization, housing, and poverty. Number three, climate change is an emerging threat that will remain with us for the foreseeable future, and we need to prepare the country and indeed provide our solutions to the rest of the world in this. And in this regard, we are particularly grateful to the government of China for the agreement which, sir, you signed in your visit to China for the China-Pakistan Joint Research Center on Earth Sciences and Climate. And we look forward to very close collaboration with the Ministry of Climate Change in setting up that center in the premises of this university. So we really look forward. This is an important initiative, and I really feel that this is something that can contribute significantly. Mr. Prime Minister, our proposal was for the university to start its life as a think tank which will help us solve our problems, solve the problems of the country. In order to do that, it will build a research program, and for the research program, it will build an educational program. But more importantly, it is an institution that will work with all the other universities in the country and with our partners, many of whom are now represented here. So it will try to distill the knowledge from the existing institution. We have set up a number of centers for advanced studies, have not really monitored them very effectively. What we would like to do is, by creating an apex body, bring all of that knowledge together so that it can be placed at the door of the government and be used very, very effectively. So what we have tried to do is to try to make sure that the university begins to deliver from day one, and number two, that it continues to deliver. For delivering on day one, we have set up the agenda and we have focused on the advice to the government. For continuing to deliver, we are working on the relationship with the scientific community in general, in Pakistan and globally, and to set that up into very concrete structures so that it can continue to deliver. Mr. Prime Minister, we, on behalf of the academic community, we see this university as part of a larger framework which has both of those goals. On the one hand, there's the goal of being most cost-effective, being most efficient, being service-oriented, being oriented towards delivering on tasks. And on the other hand, there's the task of enhancing the quality of education and research. We see this as a part of both of those agendas. The first agenda, we have tried to do it in the design itself so that it actually delivers very concretely on the issues that confront us. On the second agenda, we are now engaged in a process of investing in the quality of higher education more generally, and we see this as the keystone of that process, that this is something that will help us invest in the quality of the educational institutions. Mr. Prime Minister, it is not a matter of, it's not a secret that there is a major challenge in the quality of higher education in Pakistan. We have been, HEC has been trying to invest in it for quite some time, but now the time has come to ramp it up and to confront that issue more directly. We have tried to structure our own work so that it can deliver on this promise. We also need your support, sir. And if I may quickly summarize some of the thoughts that are coming to us from my colleagues, we need the support of the government in enhancing the quality of higher education in a number of ways. Number one, we do need a secure financial base. The funding for higher education